It was as dreadful as always. She hated his offensive smell of garlic, his irregular teeth, his bald head, his watery eyes, and his fat stomach. She hated his groaning, which became extra loud this time. In the middle of his orgasm, his whole body became stiff, his eyes wide opened, and he cried, "Help!" In the next moment, he lay lifeless on her, with the full weight of his heavy body. He did not breathe. Ingrid felt panic. She first thought her own heart would also stop beating. She twisted herself out of the bed and started dressing her underwear. She kept staring at the body on the bed. Then she went back to the bed and tried to feel his pulse. No pulse. Put her cheek to his open mouth. No breathing. Now she broke down completely on a chair next to the bed. She cried and felt like the loneliest person in the world.
Oh, Cosima was everything to me. My supporter, my therapist, my head of staff, my political advisor, my bookkeeper, my chef du protocole towards royalties, politicians, and financial patrons. And she was my sounding board, my very elegant hostess, my nurse, and my mistress. I have seen photos of her. If you excuse me, Wagner, my Giuseppina was more beautiful than your wife. De gustibus non est disputandum, Verdi. Let me tell you what my dear friend Friedrich Nietzsche said. Unfortunately, he caught syphilis, went mad and broke contact with us. But he used to call Cosima the only woman of grand style that I ever met. On this point, he was right. A bomb in the theatre, a dead conductor, chaos among artists and agents, absent top politicians. Julio Garcia was suddenly in the middle of a nightmare, but had to try and pull himself together. He had to think and act constructively. A crisis meeting was convened in his temporary office in the hotel. "At least the bomb threat seems to be over," said Madame Mathieu, the speechwriter of the commission president. "The Venice police have gone through every corner of La Fenice with bomb dogs and found nothing." "Well, it is over for the time being," Garcia replied. "But the media already know about it and people will be nervous tonight. We will, of course, have to tighten security." "Oh, yes. The police have already promised to set up a full airport-type security screener at the entrance of the theatre and also at the stage entrance. Every person entering the house will be fully scrutinized." "Okay, that's good." Come on, Verdi. What about your first Aida? She was a beautiful woman. An Austrian, I think. Well, Teresa Stolz was a citizen of the Austrian Empire at the time. But she was born in Prague. A great voice. And a great personality. I know, I met her. A fantastic woman. You met her? I thought you never saw any of my operas during your lifetime. Correct, but I met her. I knew her lover, the conductor Mariani. I think she separated from him because of you, Verdi. See, it was a rather embarrassing story. And my Giuseppina was terribly upset. But later on, she liked Teresa. A ménage à trois? Well, I also practiced that a few times. Mena could not stand it, of course. But Cosima was always wise enough to accept it and keep a straight face. Why do you believe in these rumors about me and Teresa? Giuseppina knew that they were not true. We have to wait here until we get introduced, and then we are supposed to make our statements on Europe, and then conduct Beethoven's Ninth together. Yes, I know. I have accepted these conditions too, but... Wagner was interrupted by a knock at the door. Before the two gentlemen could react, a small, rather corpulent, elderly, bald-headed man with old-fashioned spectacles entered the room. His evil eyes did not match the very ingratiating expression around his smiling lips.
"Excuse me, meine Herren, but I had to use this unique opportunity to see you. Who are you? How could you get in here?" "My name is Hess, Konrad Hess, and I am chairman of the Wagner Society of Berlin. By the way, do you hear how slowly this Italian is conducting out there, Herr Wagner?"
Yes, good that you noticed that. Will they never learn?"
Wagner said, not without satisfaction, forgetting that the man he spoke to was an intruder.
Thank you for your visit, Signor Hess. Could you now please leave us alone?"
"I have come to warn you, Richard Wagner."
Warn me?
"About that man."
What about him? He never seemed dangerous to me."
"But he was the one who killed you on the 13th of February, 1883. He might try again."
The grandmother was furious. She was spitting and stinking of sulfur. She felt that something was fishy in the casting of her TV show on the most stupid girl in Europe, which was now running on hundreds of commercial TV channels in parallel with the Fenice event. She did not know exactly why, but suspected that some terrible surprise was around the corner, a surprise which might destroy the bad taste of her whole evil TV soap success.
The uproar and chaos in the room was total. People ran around shouting and gesticulating. Some Basque, Corsican and Slovak nationalists took the chance to shout slogans and expose banderoles against Spaniards, the French, Gypsies, Jews, Muslims, Africans, and even against Europe as such. All efforts by Dottore Fiaschi, Mr. Garcia, the politicians and other responsible people to calm the audience down were in vain. When Charles de Gaulle and Konrad Adenauer appeared on the stage, arm in arm, they took some attention away from the tumult. But Hitler was still shouting, and Churchill also did his best. The living politicians on stage were paralyzed by this fight between heaven and hell.
You are the two great composers, aren't you? I just saw you on television. You have composed the most fantastic music.
Thank you.
The two men answered in unison, both obviously charmed by the compliment.
May I offer you a glass of champagne? On the house?
Oh yes, that is what we need now. Why don't you sit down with us for a moment? By the way, what is your name, Signora?
My name is Europe.